It was a morning like any other in Chalfant Valley, cold air, the distant hum of a highway, the hush before a small town wakes. But for one family, the ordinary splintered into a single impossible moment. A 16-year-old girl stepped outside and never came back. No phone call, no goodbye, just a pair of footprints leading away from a house, and then nothing. Please help this channel grow. Like the video, try the new hype feature, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories. This helps us a lot. Thank you. Her name was Karlie Lain Guse. She had dreams, friends, a laugh that lit up a room, and a life that was suddenly folded into a mystery that would haunt a community and draw on the FBI, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the hearts of strangers across the country. To understand how someone can vanish into the thin blue of a desert morning, we have to step back into a teen's world, into the family, the friends, the small decisions, and the heavy small town where everyday life and extraordinary fear collided. Karlie Lain Guse was born May 13, 2002. She grew up around Bishop and Chalfant Valley, a high desert pocket of California, where the Sierra foothills meet wide, open sky. At 16, she was described by those who loved her as bright, close with her brothers, and living a life that, on the surface, looked ordinary. School, friends, a boyfriend. The normal, steady churn of teenage plans. Karlie lived with her family in the White Mountain Estates area of Chalfant Valley, a place of long roads, sparse houses, and a community where everyone tends to know everyone else. In small towns, normal teenage mischief often looks like an open-door social life. House parties, late-night drives, and the kind of choices that feel small when you're young but can have huge consequences. On October 12, 2018, the night before her disappearance, Karlie left with friends to be where other teens go: gatherings, music, laughter. That night would be the hinge. In the hours before dawn on October 13th, family members say they saw Karlie in the home. She left behind personal items, including her phone, and something that has made investigators pause. There were footprints and witnesses who later said they saw a young woman walking along a highway. But the trail ends there. The absence of a phone, the abandoned room, and an empty pair of shoes on a doorstep are small physical things that become enormous in the wake of a disappearance. Karlie wasn't an anonymous case file. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. Her parents and extended family describe a girl with a typical teenage mixture of restlessness and longing, wanting a life that felt larger than the valley she lived in. Those human details are the ones that make the cold facts unbearable. A missing smile, an interrupted trajectory, a life paused mid-sentence. We'll use the word disappearance because, crucially, there has been no public, verified legal determination of homicide in this case. What happened to Karlie Guse is recorded in the disorienting language of missing persons, a last sighting, left behind belongings, a community that searched and still searches. We must be careful with language here, because every unproven accusation can cause more pain than clarity. But the facts we do have form a skeleton of what unfolded. According to investigators and published reports, Karlie was last seen in the early morning hours of October 13, 2018. Witnesses placed her walking south approximately 30 yards east of Highway 6 and about 100 yards south of Sierra View Road. She was last seen wearing a white t-shirt, gray sweatpants or jeans, and Vans shoes. Her mobile phone remained at the residence, leaving a frustrating silence where a phone call or a GPS ping might have been. The night before, some accounts say Karlie had been at a gathering with friends. Family members later reported concern that something she consumed that night, reportedly marijuana, produced a severe and unusual paranoia. Her father and stepmother said she seemed disoriented and frightened, and they wondered whether the substance could have been laced. They brought her home, they tucked her into bed, and then, sometime during the pre-dawn hours, she left. Those details, provided by family and repeated in reporting, are predicated on memory and feeling and should be relayed as such. Investigators followed every lead, but the unexplained paranoia remains an element of the night that still prompts questions. When a teen vanishes in a place like Chalfant Valley, time is both friend and enemy. The desert terrain is unforgiving. Temperatures drop, weather shifts, and wide-open land means tiny traces can be easily lost. Investigators mounted searches. Family members organized volunteers. The whole town became an uneasy sieve, scouring the roads and ridges for any sign. But the trail, in the way trails sometimes do in true crime stories, ran cold. There is no single sensational moment we can point to and say, this was the crime. Instead, the crime, if it was a crime at all, was the slow, agonizing unraveling of certainty. No GPS pings, no verified surveillance footage leading to clear answers, and a family left with the worst possible unknown. That unknown turns a disappearance into a wound that refuses to heal. When every second counts, coordination counts more. As soon as Karlie was reported missing, local authorities launched a search. The Mono County Sheriff's Office led the initial response and coordinated volunteers and search teams. Because no trace was easily found, and because the disappearance involved a juvenile, the FBI joined the investigation, publicly offering resources and outreach to widen the net. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children also listed Karlie and produced an age progression image to keep the case in the public eye. Investigations in missing person cases follow familiar arcs. Secure the scene, interview family and witnesses, canvass the area, analyze digital footprints, call records, phone pings, social media. But Karlie's phone, the single greatest modern breadcrumb for tracing movement, was left behind. That absence forced investigators to lean harder on eyewitness accounts and physical searches. Witnesses reported seeing a young woman walking south by the highway. Beyond that, the human memory is a shifting ground. People remember the outline of a silhouette, a jacket, a direction, but those fragments are often not enough to reconstruct a clear picture. The family did not wait. They appealed publicly, posted missing person flyers, and even offered their own reward. Investigative partners released official posters. The FBI posted a missing person notice and offered a monetary reward for information leading to Karlie's location. Community interest swelled online. Social media groups formed. Strangers left comments of hope and speculation, and national outlets picked up the story, all of which can be double-edged. Publicity can help, but it can also flood an investigation with noise. Investigators pursued leads. They interviewed friends and acquaintances. They followed up on tips. They searched likely and unlikely places. They examined surveillance footage from regional businesses and road cameras. Some reports suggested Karlie had become extremely paranoid after smoking marijuana. That night, family members wondered if it had been laced, and that paranoia may explain unexpected behavior. But in an investigation, hypothesis and evidence must be clearly separated. Family observations can guide suspicion, but they alone cannot close a case. That if you have information that could help, even a small memory, a sighting, a scrap of detail, law enforcement asked for tips. The Mono County Sheriff remained the primary reporting agency. The FBI created tip lines. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children kept the case visible with posters and age-progressed imagery intended to show what Karlie might look like years later. These are standard tools in long-term missing person work, used to generate fresh leads when time might otherwise make memory and evidence fade. Years after October 13, 2018, Karlie Guse remains missing. There have been no publicly announced arrests, and no confirmed resolution has been released by investigators. The official status, as of the most recent public information, is that the investigation remains open and active, and that authorities continue to seek tips and information that could lead to her location. The FBI has formally listed Karlie as a missing person and has offered a reward for information leading to her recovery. For the family, the aftermath is everyday life braided with a wound that never closes. Parents speak of birthdays and the quiet empty seat at milestones. Friends speak of a memory interrupted. Brothers speak of a sister who could not be found. The family also channeled grief into action. They pushed for renewed public attention. They helped produce outreach materials. And they held vigils to keep Karlie's face in front of the public and investigators' minds. The community, rural, connected. Weary has not forgotten. It is important here to be precise. Unresolved does not mean forgotten. it does not mean investigators stop working. In missing person cases like Karlie's, progress can be incremental and punctuated by bursts, a credible tip, a new piece of technology, a witness who remembers more. Federal and local authorities have reiterated that any credible information, however small, could move the needle. And the family continues to hope. This story is not a neat puzzle with all its pieces on the table. Karlie's disappearance lives in the unsaid and the unseen, in footsteps that stop at the edge of a highway, in a phone that never rang, in a family's refusal to let go. For every moment we spend seeking answers, we are also spending a moment with the human cost. Parents trying to sleep with a missing child's absence, siblings who replay the last time they saw her, friends who wonder if there was something they missed. If you came here for drama, know that the drama is real because the stakes are real. But if you came to witness, to remember, or to help, that matters too. Public attention can be the difference between cold files and a living investigation. A memory shared at the right moment can be the thread that pulls a case open. The FBI and local authorities ask for tips, and the family still offers reward money, and more than that, an open door for information. If you have information about Karlie Lain Guse, please contact the Mono County Sheriff's Office at 760-932-7549, the FBI tip line, or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Karlie was last seen October 13, 2018. She was 16. She is loved. She is missed. A teen's world is small and large at once, full of ordinary choices that feel enormous to a family when something goes wrong. Karlie's story asks us to hold two things at once: the ache of what we do not know, and the responsibility to keep searching until someone brings an answer home.